Would you like to play a game?
Put on your war face.
Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to War Games. So, I haven't made a video that's been not Jesus-oriented for a while. I've been kind of hung up on Jesus, which is a good thing to be right now in this chaotic world. But I wanted to get back to some of my more normal videos, and we had just started a series called War Games before I got the Jesus bug so much. And so I wanted to kind of pick up on that and continue to guess what's next in this, well, I like to call it the current unpleasantness. That's what the Southerners called the Civil War in the 1860s. They called it the current or the former unpleasantness. And so I would like to kind of war game this. And once again, I'm not calling for any of these actions. I'm not supporting any of these actions. I'm not with anybody. I'm not part of any group. I'm just a guy who used to live in a van down by the river. And now I have a cabin in the woods. And I'm sitting out here on the back deck getting some sun. And, you know, it's got my wheels turning this morning. And I wanted to talk about what's next. How could this go? Where could this eventually lead to? And excuse me if I'm sweating, but it's already in the 80s out here this morning, and I'm getting some good Oklahoma sun, getting that natural vitamin D, just kind of chilling out here. So, what have we experienced thus far? Well, we've seen them weaponize the lockdowns. We've seen them weaponize the Black Lives Matter movement. We've seen them protect the communist uprising and the burning of our cities from Portland to Minneapolis and all parts in between, all the way down to Atlanta. And but everybody's asking the big question, what is next? What is next? So in a previous video, I did talk about some other methods that they might start using against us. But let's look at what's kind of going on already, and let's try to kind of figure out what could possibly be next. And so I really see them weaponizing the IRS. Now that they have total lockstep control of the United States government, the House, most of the Senate, and of course the presidency, they're purging the military of all patriots or anyone that does not agree with their racist ideology. And so therefore they're getting anybody out that might defend the Constitution or stand up against these communists that have taken over our country from the inside out. And so what's next? They're going to weaponize the federal government against us. We're already starting to see that in this kangaroo court and this massive investigation that they keep calling to expand into a congressional investigation concerning the events of January 6th. And so they've already kind of weaponized law enforcement against their political opponents by going after anyone who was actually there. And because I was on the Capitol grounds in Oklahoma City protesting on January 6th on the same day for the same reasons as the people who are now labeled as insurrectionists, I'm sure it put me on the list. But expect for the IRS and potentially maybe even like the Social Security Administration, you could, if you're a person who is standing up against them and you're relying on Social Security or you're relying on SSI or something like that, then they might disqualify you. Just some bureaucrat might just check your name and go, no, now you're going to have to fight them if you want to get your money. So being in bed with the government, being in bed with the globalist is the quickest way to get slapped down. In fact, if you want to avoid being persecuted, the best thing you can do is separate yourself from these people financially as much as you can. Do what I did, move to a red state that has strong laws protecting you, that already has a bee in their bonnet against the federal government, someplace like Oklahoma, Texas, or Florida. I can't really recommend Texas right now because of what's going on with the border down there. And Texas has become unsafe due to this massive border crossing that's happening now. And of course, it's destabilizing the whole country. But they're also trying to put everybody onto a universal basic income. That's what these extended lockdowns are doing in California. All of this unemployment money that's paying people, more than they were making before to work. They're just paying them to stay home instead of working. And I say they're printing money, but it's digital money. They're not actually printing presses. They're just releasing more digital money, digital currency, in the forms of these payments to individuals. And so this is bankrupting and going to bankrupt our country. It's devaluing the dollar. Just think of it this way. Let's say there was only 100, I don't know, Willie Mays baseball cards in existence, and you possessed one of those 100, and then suddenly somebody produced 75 more. Well, you can see what that would do to the value of the original 100. They would be worth a significant percentage less. Okay, so if you follow that logic, then the more money they release in the form of these free lunch passes, the more it devalues the dollar. And this is what's causing this hyperinflation. So they're going to use the federal government against you, but they're also going to use this economy against you. And the lockdowns and all of it are part of this greater thing called the Great Reset, or the Operation Lockstep. And what you have here is a planned out takeover of our country, and they're rolling it out. So expect that anywhere you are vulnerable, maybe you have a government contract that is supporting your business, maybe you are reliant on one of these major corporations. See, they're going to use the government to come after you if they can. They're going to use the corporations to come after you if they can. And if you live in a blue state area, they're going to use local law enforcement to come after you on whatever means they can, by whatever method they can, whatever they can find on you. It's going to be one of those deals where show me the man and I'll find you the crime. And so that's essentially what is going on right now. So I got some sweat in my eyes. This sun feels really good. I've been ready for this. It's been raining a lot here lately, so I'm soaking up the sun. So, it's going to be a situation where if you are vulnerable, they are going to get to you. The next thing that you're starting to see now is something I predicted some time ago, and that is the clampdown and the disruption of the supply chain, the control of food. One of the most disturbing things is to find out that Bill Gates over the past year has been buying up farmland as much as he can, and now he's the #1 owner of farmland in America, which tells me he's trying to corner the food market. He must have been listening when I started wargaming this stuff 2.5 years ago, and I told the people in the cities, your Achilles heel is you don't have the food. We have the food. Country boys can't survive because we make the food. We grow the wheat. We grow the corn. We raise the hogs. We raise the chickens. We collect the eggs. And we're the guys that feed you folks. Our trucks and our truckers drive the food into the cities to you. So now, having heard that, I'm assuming that it wasn't just me he listened to, but other people who've said this, advisors, and this is why Bill Gates is buying up farmland. Another disturbing thing is that a major banking investment firm who definitely represents big money from the New World Order establishment, and they are working to buy up private homes, single-family residences. Now, their claim is it's the inflation that's got them all catterwampus, and that they want to try to hedge against inflation by purchasing hard assets such as real estate. But many people are saying they want to create a world where the oligarchy owns all of the real estate. Shoot, I got sweat in my eyes. I'm sweating. It feels so good. Sweat it out, sweat it out. Lost another 5 pounds this week, and I've been working out and putting on some muscle. So I don't know if you can see my arm in that shot or not. But I'm down to 180, and I know that even though I'm not losing weight super fast anymore, I'm putting on muscle, so I'm burning fat. But that's a side note. Get in shape for what's coming, y'all. Seriously, it's time to put it to work. It's not theory anymore. It's conspiracy fact. So here we are in the middle of it. And so they're going to use the food chain to control people. So I haven't talked about this much on the channel, but I hear voices. I hear God. God talks to me, and the devil too, but I don't listen to him. And I listen to God and to my heart. And I've been told to raise food, not just enough food for me, which I could easily do on my 4 acres here, but I needed to raise enough food to feed my community. So I do believe, beyond a reasonable doubt, that their main method for defeating us will be to try and starve us out. They're going to control all the food and all of the markets to the point where you have to have pretty much their permission, or you have to take the vaccine. You have to do what they say. You have to be completely compliant with all of their rules. Or you won't be allowed access to purchase things that are necessary, especially something as vital as food. And that they're literally going to starve us out. In the Chinese revolution that brought about the CCP, or the Chinese Communist Party, control of the country in totality in China, that they starved millions of people to death. That they simply confiscated all the food at the farms and left nothing for the farmers to eat. And then they controlled the food and only fed the loyal party members, and everyone else starved. When I was a kid, we were told to eat all the food on your plate because there's kids starving in China. And we were not told that they were being intentionally starved in China by the Chinese communists as a method and means of controlling the masses. That starvation has been one of the number one tools used by these evil entities since the beginning. And so I recommend that you learn to feed yourself. Hunting and fishing is a great skill. I look at it as an augmentation, not as a base for my survival skills. It augments my ability to raise food and to operate in animal husbandry. So, agricultural farming and animal ranching and farming is the primary method. The sustenance independent homestead has always been the safety net against tyranny. And so if you live in a place where you can't grow your own food, if you do not already have an established barter network in your area for obtaining food outside of the government control means, then you should definitely look into getting the heck out of Dodge and purchasing or coming across some kind of opportunity to live closer to the land. And once again, I recommend you get out of these blue states, because their compliance with their rules there in those blue states will be mandatory. And if you do not comply, you will not be fed. So I suggest that people better know where their food comes from. You better hope you tend a good garden. You better know how to skin a buck and run a trot line, right? You better know how to survive in all of the different varied ways. And that's one of the things that the greatest generation had over us, is that most of them, even city people, at least they knew where their food came from. And most of the country folks were involved in creating the food. And now that the corporate farms have taken over, and, the whole war against the family farmer started back in the 70s and 80s, and that's why we had Farm Aid, was to help the farmers. And Willie Nelson was a big part in making that happen. The family farms, because corporate farmers have taken over and they're feeding us poisonous food. You want to know why Sage Wonder is 53 years old and I look like every day I get younger, like every day I get stronger, every day I get leaner and more fit? It's because I'm avoiding the fast food, I'm avoiding the processed food. I stopped eating their GMO poison, and I live much closer to the earth. And I live off lean meat and green vegetables, and I suggest that you do the same thing, because time's running out to get your crap together, people. I'm wargaming this and letting you know what's coming in the future, but make no mistake. Doubt this not. It is coming. They are doing this to you, and the world is asleep, and they can call me crazy for blowing the whistle, but I'm going to be sitting on a pile of eggs and squash and set up with a bartering network with people around here that grow alfalfa and corn, so I can continue to feed my animals. I'm going to be raising up a rabbit herd here to feed the neighborhood, to feed this region, this area around me, because bad times are coming, and I can't stand to see somebody starving. And God's called me to do this. So that's the other part of my monk life. Being living the life of a monk right now is. I didn't say I was a good monk, but for the most part, I kind of live that lifestyle. And so part of it is, the prayer and seeking God, but the other part of it is living close to the land, being very much involved with the lives of your animals. Now I have 3 dogs. I have 2 outside dogs and an inside dog. I picked up a third dog She is a poodle chihuahua cross, so she's a poo-wah-wah. And she must know that she's a poo-wah-wah, because when I call her a poo-wah-wah, she does her head like this. She likes what to be called a poo-wah-wah. And but you'll get to meet the menagerie. I'm working on another one of my videos, and this one's going to be a time lapse showing you the growth of my chicks from the time that they were little 1-day-old yellow puffy chicks until now. My pullets are about to start laying eggs. So it's been a nice spring summer project here, and I suggest that you guys start looking at this more seriously, y'all. You're running out of time, because the next step in the war game is they will starve you. They will use the government to come after you. They will try to rob you of all of your money, take away your land and properties, leave you with nothing, and leave you to starve to death. Because that is Agenda 21, and that's where we're at, 2021. You knew it was coming. We warned you for decades. Now you're here. How's it feel? I suggest you get busy, because the grocery store isn't always going to be there, and if it is, it may not be open for you. God save our republic.
I want you to know that I'm smoking a cigarette right this very minute. She said you're gonna lose, she had an evil grin. Now I'm deep in thought of chain smoking.